Harihi Om Tatsat. Harihi Om Tatsat. Harihi Om Tatsat. Jaya Guru. Jaya Guru. It is very interesting to know what is an ashram, how it comes up, and what is taking place in an ashram, especially as different from what is the household, how it comes up, and what takes place there. It is not that householders do not have devotion or some kind of a linkage with God. In fact, at every point of time, the householder community will be the supermost in number so far as any country or nation is concerned. I would like to put it as 99.999% of people will be householders. Even the so-called spiritual centers have come up from the householders' children. So you can understand the root cause of all spirituality, spiritual life, spiritual development, establishment of ashrams, etc. are primarily because of the householder life. Being so, why is it necessary that one feels like becoming a sannyasin or spiritual person and setting up an ashram? This is a question that every one of you should take up. Briefly compared and contrasted, the householders do not make a wholesome pursuit of devotional life or spiritual life. They are primarily householders, thinking constantly about the house and not giving any place for God in thinking about the household. I have my house, I have my family. I want the family to be all right, and therefore I want the blessings of God. And in order to get the blessings of God, they spend about half an hour or 1 hour, if at all, every day. Or they spend half an hour per week or per month. On an important day of the week chosen by them, they will go to the temple, or maybe once in a month. So it is very, very partial, piecemeal and very brief. This is how the householders are. In an ashram, it is just the other way around. An ashram comes up because of somebody taking up spiritual life in a wholesome, life-full manner. Life-full, full in life. For such a person, the household will not be all right. So he sets up an ashram. In the ashram you will find it is that wholesome spirituality that leads to setting up an ashram. And if the ashram conducts spiritual activities, especially disseminational activities, it can only be a result and outcome of full-fold, wholesome spiritual pursuit. In the ashram, you will find things like what people do in the household, say for example, construction of buildings, going to the market, purchasing materials. All materials which the householders purchase, the ashram also will purchase. For example, furniture, vessels, electrical items, various items of dress, all of them they will get from the same market. But is the important point. But in the ashram, everything grows and is a result of wholesome spiritual life. If the ashram becomes wholesomely spiritual, that is the place where householders come. Why are they coming? Not to bring their household into the ashram, but to take something from the ashram into their household. So in the household you don't think about God and you are not surrounded by godly thoughts or godly people for the full day. You have to generate a little godliness in half an hour or 15 minutes. But in the ashram, we are surrounded by godliness and godly people. See, early in the morning we spend about half an hour in the Samadhi Mandir Puja room. Then all of you come here to conduct the Pushpa Samarpanam. Thereafter I talk spiritual things and you all hear. We also have a similar program in the evening. And in between, we have at least 2 times satsang sessions. I think it is quite much. If you calculate it, you will find it is something like 2 plus 3 hours minimum. The rest of the time, you can come and work in the ashram, either in the office and allied matters, or in the kitchen, or anything whatsoever. The tendency for people to do seva in our ashram is much, much less. But in any ashram, seva should be very much resorted to and looked to for. Try to find out how a wholesome spiritual life is led in the ashram and contrast it with some 15 minutes or 10 minutes devotional life you lead in your household. What a great difference is there. That is why when people come here, they feel they are completely away from the household and they are living in a new Vaikuntha or a Kailasa. The reason is this. So learn the message of wholesome spiritual life and take it home when you go back. What is the transformation that we look for in the house? Whatever you do, try to do it in a divine and devotional manner. Whenever you pray to God for the welfare of the household, in place of that, I will be very happy if you start thinking, my very household is a blessing of God. It's only from the blessing of God that anybody lives. The jiva in your body is an amsha of God. The body itself is evolved by nature through the mystic hands of God. So your body, the jiva in it, the materials with which your house has been made either by you or by another, in all these things you will find they are gifts and boons of God, and they are maintained. The earth goes on revolving around the sun and on its own axis. Days and nights are born and they repeat. In everything you find the hand of God. If you start looking for this wholesome thought and assimilation of godliness, then you will find your household gradually changing into something far, far better. The little piecemeal and part-time spirituality or devotion will grow into more and more. Instead of half an hour, it will grow into 1 hour, and then another 1 hour, another 1 hour. It is to actually reach spirituality into the household that in Astha, Sanskar and other channels, spiritual and devotional programs also have taken over. I am told that people like to have 3 or 4 hours of program in prominent channels like Surya, Kairali and things like that. So, it is not that household cannot become a devotional or a spiritual center. It can, it does, and it will. And these are the symptoms. You can understand the process and accelerate it and better it, provided you apply your viveka. So throughout your stay in the ashram, observe and find out how we are working, what we are doing, what is the motivation in our mind, and how an ashram remains an ashram. What exactly is the cause and the root of it? This is something that I would like every one of you to take up as a quest, as a search, and get an answer for. Hari Om Tats Jai.